What is up? And I just want to thank the Cooksey Mob. You guys are the best. You really are. I love that you guys watch stuff, think about it. You call me out when I need to be called out. The thing is, we back truth, and I appreciate that so much. So thank you, Cooksey Mob. Today, I'm going to touch on Supercross and how the injury list is just growing. It is triage with these guys. It's gnarly. I want to talk about Chase Sexton getting fined for skipping an interview. And while I think these guys should always do interviews, I got some thoughts on the fine. I got a Lucas Mirtl update, and I have some ideas about how to help fix this sport. I love what's happening in society. I love that Elon and Trump are auditing all these people, and I need them to look into the AMA and their dirty, rotten 5013C, but I'll get into that. Thank you to everybody who has sent me your address. If you email me at chriscookseymedia@gmail.com, and unfortunately, we're only shipping in Canada and the United States right now. Worldwide, we'll get there, but it's not there yet. So just send me your address, but please do it in a concise form. Name, address, email. Just like Mr. P. Davey sent right here. Don't take my word for how good this stuff is. Try it yourself. And after you see how good it works, when you go to... After you see how good it works, head over to Nano Extreme and use code Cooksey at checkout, and you will get free shipping. You have got to check out the Coach Rob podcast with Jeremy Martin. There are some nuggets in there. Hearing how when he was a factory star racer and he didn't make those main events, and Star Yamaha left him at the stadium after just berating him. So these are the things you don't get to hear, especially when guys are in the middle of their career. I strongly recommend heading over to Coach Rob's podcast. He's got all sorts of content, everything from vet racing, amateurs, to anything you need to meet your training needs.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
All right, let's start with the injuries. Man, how disappointing is it that Eli Tomac has a broken leg? We were all hoping it was some serious calf bruise, but I knew something was up. Like, these guys and their pain threshold is insane. When these guys walk like Eli was walking and can't get through, I mean, he made it through the main event, which is borderline crazy. That shows you how tough these guys are. His leg was broken. And I had to ask, how does that happen? They have an x-ray machine in the Alpine Star rig. Now, I don't know if this x-ray machine is the same one. I broke my foot. I went into the rig back in the day. I think it was 2007 when I went in there at Glen Helen. They did an x-ray of my foot. They told me we can't see all the breaks, but clearly it's broken. Because the x-rays, that's not the best x-ray machine in the world. You have to go to the hospital to get a real x-ray. But a lot of times they can just take a look at it and say, oh, it's broke or not broke. I'm guessing they still have that same x-ray machine. Time to update it, because we can't have guys going out there on a broken leg. Could you imagine if something worse would have happened? And I have to wonder, like, when he broke the leg, was it still in place to where they just could have cast it and let him sit out for a few weeks? And then did he, by racing on it, did it displace it to where he had to have surgery? This is something that I would really like to see updated. Can we get a little bit better x-ray machine in that rig? These guys are the world's best athletes with incredible pain tolerances. We can't be sending them out there on broken legs that they don't know about. Another guy I want to talk about is Pierce Brown. Man, this was so brutal. I don't know why they're only talking about the T5 vertebrae fracture, because the T5 vertebrae was fractured. I mean, it was bad, but it wasn't crazy bad. The T6 is the one that burst. Do you remember Jeremy Martin had that burst fracture and bone fragments went all over, and it's a miracle he wasn't paralyzed? That's what happened to Pierce's T6. Maybe they're not sharing it because they don't want people thinking he can't come back, because these teams are ruthless. If they think you're hurt, they just drop you. It doesn't matter if you got hurt racing for them. There's not a lot of forgiveness in these teams. I would hope that they would in this case. Pierce has got a long recovery, and that burst fracture, that T6, it's a miracle. And I say walking, but if you hit it up in the T6 area, if that had paralyzed Pierce, we're not talking about a paraplegic, we're talking about a quadriplegic. This is a dangerous sport. I truly believe he would not have had this accident, or it would have been not nearly as severe without the tough blocks. They almost cost Pierce his life. Now, I'm not just whining to whine. They could have cost him his life. And Jet's brother, that also, while not nearly as severe, was 100%. That was a total there's no debating that the tough block caused that one. That one broke his shoulder, dislocated his shoulder. He's had surgery. He's out for the year. So Jet's brother, he's done. And Dax Bennick, oh man, this sport is so brutal. Man, he was riding so good, got second place. The AMA ripped him off of points by docking him for jumping on a red cross flag when they threw the red, which was completely out of line. I cannot believe they did that. It's complete BS, and I hope they just give him his points back. Not that it matters now, because he will be out of this championship. He broke his cheekbone and was knocked out for like 3 minutes. Daxton, I know you're a beast and you want to get back out there and the team's probably pressuring you. Don't. Wait until you're completely recovered. You're young. You have a long career ahead of you. Do not let them rush you back out there and risk having another injury or going out. And he's battled chronic fatigue. One of the big issues is when you have a concussion and you don't let it completely heal, you become fatigued. Please take the time. Please take the time and make sure you're 100% before you try and come back. There is no championship on the table, but your rest of your career could be on the table if you come back too soon. And then Nate Thrasher broke his finger, which, man, it's like the year of the finger. A lot of broken fingers this year. True to all the other badasses out there, he's going to race through it. We'll see how that goes. And French rider Anthony Bourdon, oh boy, that was ugly. It looks like he's done for the year. Bummer to the Bar X team. He was riding so good. And he was just practicing. I believe he's West Coast, so I don't think he was planning on racing any 450s. But man, it's ugly, and I'm very disappointed for all these guys. But it's a tough sport. That's why I say we have to eliminate the unnecessary injuries. There's going to be plenty of injuries, no matter how safe you make the track. If you eliminate tough blocks, you're still going to have injuries, but we can at least eliminate those ones. So I took a lot of heat for calling out Ken Roczen when he walked past the downed cameraman and didn't even stop. I thought it was rude. I thought it was indicative of his character. And if you look at the history on Ken Roczen, that's exactly who he is.
Until you guys learn how to say please.
Please now get your
No, it's too late now.
Pingree let him have it for being a narcissist after he borrowed his bike, never even said thanks. He blocked Dylan Ferrandis from being on the team with him. Like, he's just very egotistical. It's all about Ken. And that's why I call him a narcissist. I had a guy who worked with him at Honda and has been at Honda for like 20 or 30 years reach out and tell me, of all the riders, Ken Roczen was the biggest pain in the ass. He was whiny, he was rude, and he was just not a nice person. So if you ask, does he get a break by walking around that cameraman? Yeah, if he didn't have a history of this type of behavior, I would say, yeah, of course, that's not that big a deal. But knowing who Ken is, with his resume and the things that he's done to different people and the way he acts,
Until you guys learn how to say please.
Please now get your
No, it's too late now.
and the fact, like, look at this clip of him telling some fans they need to learn how to say please to get an autograph. That's who Ken Roczen is. Amazing rider, determination for days, coming back from that injury. I will never not respect that, because that is one of the most badass things I've seen in this sport. He could have been done on multiple occasions, and he keeps fighting back. So you can't question what he does on the track and his absolute talent. Like, he is so good on the bike, but that doesn't make him a good person. That makes him an amazing dirt bike racer. It doesn't make him a nice person, and I stand by that. That's something that a lot of people confuse. Just because somebody shows these amazing skills on the track and they do courageous things on the track, we assume off the track they're going to be good people. That's not always the case. Sometimes it is. Grant Langston, he is that guy. He is that badass. That, like, he stands up for what he believes in. When you look at the way Grant rode and you see the way he conducts himself off the track, they match up. Unfortunately, it's not like that for everybody. And that's my opinion of Ken Roczen. Hey, and I'm not telling you what to think. You think whatever you want, but that's my opinion. And you guys get to decide for yourself. That's a great thing about cheering for these guys, is you get to see the different information. I'm just presenting what I see. I have to laugh at a lot of you guys who freaked out and immediately buried Lucas Mirtl, and you didn't even have the information. You guys immediately jumped on it because he's an agent and people want to dislike agents. I get that. They make money off other people's talent. But a good agent makes extra money and takes care of their client. I understand that's not always the case, and there's some bad agents out there. Lucas isn't one of those. I also want to give credit to all the riders who are staying with him, and I believe it's all of them. I don't think any of them are staying with Wasserman, especially with what's coming out about the Wasserman agency. This is not a good place, and they have not done good things. And when I hear what they're doing to these riders who are leaving and going with Lucas, wow, I'm sure at some point I'll be able to share the things that they've done to threaten these riders to keep them from leaving. but it's absolutely disgusting. It's borderline blackmail. The only reason it's not straight up blackmail is because they throw questions. We don't know if we're going to be able to help you with this thing. And I'll give you a hypothetical example. Say a rider has a visa and somebody at Wasserman sponsored the visa. They would probably threaten to pull that visa and have the guy deported if they leave the agency. That might have happened. Like I said, I'll be able to give you guys full details in this, but I want to let the lawyers do their job, and I just want to support the riders. I don't want any undue pressure on these riders because it takes a lot of courage to stand up to an agency like Wasserman and leave knowing that they're scumbags. So I commend all of you guys who are leaving Wasserman for your own morals. You guys are badasses, and if there's anything I can do to help you guys, let me know. I would love to help out, but just know when you deal with an organization like that, they're going to hit you from every angle. Sometimes it's easier. You guys are trying to focus on racing to just, walk away, but trust me, stand for what you believe in and get away from them. And it's looking like the Lawrences are backtracking this thing. They were given the wrong information. I'll tell you what, Jet's brother jumped the gun. Jet's brother went full nut job on this thing. You want to know who leaked it to Vital right off the bat? Hunter Lawrence. Hunter Lawrence called them. He did this. I don't understand why he has such a beef with Lucas. Well, I kind of think I have some ideas, but it's going to come out eventually. But this really disgusted me, the way that they ran with this. They filed a lawsuit that doesn't make sense because it's not their money. And I think they're realizing the information they were given was wrong. And the way they treat Jet, like Britney Spears, and everyone says, oh yeah, how could he only be on a $3,000 a month stipend? And that's what I was told. He has a Rolls Royce. Let me ask you, who drives that Rolls Royce? You think Jet wanted a Rolls Royce? Look at his age. Do you think that's the car he would have chose? If Jet was buying a car for himself, don't you think it'd look more like Hayden Deegan? Don't you think it'd be a little cooler than a Rolls Royce? Rolls Royce is good for old people, like, I don't know, Jet's dad. I hope Jet can get away from these people and become his own person. He is the greatest talent probably that I've ever seen in this sport. But with his family, he is facing one of the most difficult things that any celebrity, actor, athlete has to deal with. When your family takes advantage of you and crumbles you. This is my opinion. And I think he's going to have to, at one point, it's going to get ugly and Jet's going to feel all alone. I hope that he knows. I know there's some people out there, and I know Lucas, and Lucas would welcome him back in. Lucas knows it's not Jet. Lucas knows what's going on. And I know he would welcome him back in if he needed it. So, Jet, whenever you decide to bounce or take on your family, it's going to hurt. It's going to be incredibly difficult. But just know there are people who will support you 100%. You deserve to be your own man. Check out Ride Strapped, best goggles, glasses, shirts. And this Sunday after the Daytona Supercross, we will be having a Cooksy Cookout. So I'll have a sign-up sheet here really soon. If you want to come hang out with us, bench race, talk, maybe I'll even do a live show from the cookout. Last year we had a place where we played some games. It was pretty fun. We'll have lots of prizes. We'll have some special guests. Coach Rob showed up last year. I'm trying to get some other guys to stick around. Maybe Cheyenne Harmon. Maybe we can get Kyle Bitterman. I'm going to reach out to these guys, see if we can get some celebs here with us, and we'll have a good time at the Cooksy Cookout. Hit ridestrap.com. So Chase Sexton, after the main event in Tampa, refused to do an interview, and he got fined. Okay, so if this is the NFL, I totally get it. The players receive revenue share for the entertainment dollars, so they fine them because it hurts the overall base. For an organization who is keeping all the revenue from the entertainment dollars, keep in mind, teams and riders do not get any piece of the entertainment dollars involved in this sport. The purse money for these races is disgusting. It's so low. If you won every Supercross race, you would essentially just cover your own expenses if you didn't have sponsors covering it. If you wanted to foot your own bill and go Supercross racing, you'd be in the negative. If you had a perfect season, you'd still be in the negative based on the purse money with what you'd have to spend to do that. So for this egotistical organization to fine a guy for not doing an interview with money and an entertainment side that doesn't share with the riders doesn't make sense to me. Now, if you want to take this new deal that's going to be worth $200 million a year, that's my ballpark figure, and I think it could be a little less, could be a little bit more, but they're getting a gigantic deal coming in next year. The ratings and the most valuable thing in this entire sport right now is the entertainment aspect. Energy drinks, they are having trouble. You're going to see them pull back considerably in the next 3 to 5 years. With RFK jumping in, he's cracking down on these people. They know it, and they're already starting to cut their budgets and get out and look at different options with their unhealthy drinks. So with that said, everybody's going to need a revenue stream. Well, the entertainment dollars are there. What they need to do is, just like every other professional sport, bring the teams in and figure out a revenue sharing with them. I'm not even saying 50-50. I'm saying give them 40%. Something. You have to contribute to your product. You can't just keep putting it out there and charging them to compete and expect this thing to grow. It will never grow. They always say it is what it is. It is what it is because they won't let it grow. And for Grant Langston to come on and really just cut loose, I was so happy that somebody inside that knows what's going on is willing to share the truth. Man, Grant Langston, I can't even tell you what a badass he is. And this is a genuinely good dude. And like a lot of us, he's not perfect, but he stands for something. And you got to respect that. And I have to laugh. I don't know details, and a lot of it's just flying around, but I've been reaching out to a lot of these former racers, and some are telling me they're getting the roundabout calls. They're already trying to spin me as this crazy man who's going to bring them on my show and get you to say stupid stuff, which is not true. You can ask Grant. I told him about this stuff. I told him, you take it wherever you want, and what I will do is let you say whatever you want. I don't care. It's you're talking. You tell me. I will share my opinions, but I'm responsible for my opinions, and the guest is responsible for what they say. That's it. And Grant wanted to get it off his chest, and he did. So for these people that think I'm setting people up to say stuff they don't want, that is not true. That is not true. They're going to continue to spin this narrative about me that I'm trying to make trouble and cause controversy. That's not true. Like I said, you'll see I've got a few more guys coming on, and they don't want to go to certain areas, and I respect that. You don't want to talk about this specific thing because it's controversial or put a light on you? Don't. You don't have to. I don't care. It's your choice what you want to take on and what you want to deal with and what you don't. And I'm not going to put anyone in a bad situation. Now, when I speak for myself, I'll say whatever I want because I don't care. This weekend is going to be awesome in Detroit. I can't wait. The biggest thing I want to know is, how's Malcolm going to respond? Is he going to have this rush of confidence? Is he going to have an emotional letdown? What are we going to see out of Malcolm Stewart? Can he repeat this? Can he become a championship contender? This weekend's going to answer a lot of that. And I'm not saying he has to win, but if he can just battle up front and get himself a podium, oh boy, after the big win and the inevitable emotional letdown, if he can still salvage a podium in Detroit, these dudes got a new contender on their hands, and he will be in the mix week in and week out. Sexton needs to stop this downslide. Apparently there was an issue with his shock, and that is unconfirmed, but I was told they were trying something different with his shock. It didn't work, and maybe that's why he was so mad and didn't do the interview. I don't know. That is a rumor, but I share stuff that I hear. But I'll tell you when I don't know for fact, and I don't know for fact on that one. But he has got to change this momentum swing and get back winning races. With Jet out, Tomac out, it's going to be Webb, and he's got to he can't let Webb get on a roll. If Webb gets on a roll, it could be the Cooper Webb show. And in the 250s, Levi Kitchen has put himself under the gun. Levi Kitchen, anything less than a win in Detroit, and it's not a success. He has got to finish ahead of Anstey, and he has got to at least be on the podium, or this season's looking like a disaster. Max Anstey, all he has to do is look good, back up his performance, and stay on the podium. He does that, he's going to continue doing that, and he will be there in the end. And man, right now, like I said, betting odds, if you had to ask me who's the championship favorite, I mean, it's kind of silly, but he has the point lead, so it's an easy pick. But yeah, Max Anstey's your favorite to win this championship, without a doubt. And you can't always say that when a guy just wins a race. Like after round 1 in Anaheim, would you have said Joe Schmoda was the favorite? Probably not. You'd have probably still went with Hayden Deegan. But the way Max Anstey won and the way he's looked in the past, he's your championship favorite right now. And with all this stuff with Doge uncovering all the incredible fraud involved in our government, I just want to reach out. I know the Trump family loves motocross. And, Eric Trump rides. They got this 45 bike. I am begging them. Can you please point somebody at the 5013C and the AMA? These people have been stealing from our industry and our motorcycle community for a long time. They have been working some dirty, rotten stuff from the sale of a nonprofit converted to profit by the sale of the racing. And, if you want to go back and look at the older videos, you'll see all the different stuff that I pointed out about the AMA. Please, please, please contact me. I'll even hand over the information I have. I'll lead you right where to go. I really hope somebody from the government or Doge, please call me. I'll tell you right where to look and right where to go to drain our little swamp in motocross. So I'm going to keep reaching out. If anyone knows anyone in the government that's involved with Doge, please call me. And the weirdest news of the week, and I was asked not to say names or anything, a military helicopter crashed at a legendary racer's property this weekend. I don't know much more than that, but what a weird story. The government's asking everybody not to talk about it, so I'm not saying any names or anything, but a helicopter, they didn't ask me, so I found out. So they didn't ask me, but they're asking other people not to talk about it. It clearly got out. You can't crash a helicopter on a legend's property and not have it be a secret. So stay tuned to see what happens with that. Who knows what that is? I honestly don't even have a clue, but crazy news. Thank you, members. I appreciate everything. You guys are the best. I talked to Rick Johnson. He is coming on the show, and he will be here for the Mint 400. And I'm going to try and get that jersey re-signed. It already has his autograph on it, but we're going to try and get it re-signed, and we'll be giving that away to a member this month. Next month, we're giving away a Cooper Webb Red Bull helmet. So members, you guys are getting taken care of. And just know, by joining with me, you are helping bring truth and save this sport, because that's what I'm all about. Don't forget to check that subscription. I've had people telling me they were unsubscribed again. Once again,